Okay, so right now we will tackle some misconceptions about deception. The purpose is for us to avoid errors in evaluation and consultation. So basically, most of us believe that we can tell if someone is lying or deceiving us, and then it doesn't happen all the time. So one misconception is most spoken words and behavior can be taken at face value, meaning not so serious. So if we think that we can detect if someone is deceiving us or lying, or um, we think that it doesn't happen all the time, then we are wrong, because according here in our slide, 90% of average Americans say that they regularly lie. So based on the clip that I showed you earlier, based on research of Dr. Paul Ekman that is portrayed in the fiction series called Lie to Me, the average person lies 3 times per 10 minutes. So it happens all the time. It's just that we cannot detect if someone is deceiving us because number one, we are not trained, and number two, we are not looking always for if someone is lying or deceiving us. So there's more statistics here in the slide. As adolescents, they frequently lie to their parents. I think we've done it also during our way back 10 years ago. And also as a student in college, even in high school, we lied at least once. So why do we lie? There are many reasons or purposes why a person lies. So in the context of forensic evaluation, later we will discuss what are the common purpose of deliberate or intentional deception. Okay, second misconception, malingering means the person is mentally sick. So to put it simply, there are desperate people who will resort to faking or malingering in order to serve a personal purpose. So what is the purpose? That the ultimate purpose is to survive or to adapt or to avoid a painful or undesirable situation. For example, if the person committed rape, and then the self-report is that person is having psychotic episodes or insanity, that will be considered as faking in order to avoid imprisonment. So it means that the person that is malingering or faking, he is in contact with reality. And that reality is for him or her to avoid a painful situation or unfavorable situation, and in the context of my example, that is going to imprisonment. Another example is according to research. So again, I will go back to Paul Ekman because I've been following him since 2011. In his research, I already forgot now because it's in my college laptop, the articles that I downloaded. So, but I'll just share that the people who really know how to lie, how to deceive, and how to fake also knows the do's and don'ts of deception. Meaning, the common belief is if the person is lying, he cannot or she cannot look straight in the eye. But if the person is expert or has considerable amount of experience in lying, then he or she knows that if you cannot look straight in the eye, you will be suspected of deception. That's why, to avoid that, you have to appear truthful. You have to be very convincing that you are not lying by looking the other person in the eye. So, in connection to this misconception, those fakers or those people who tend to do malingering, they are not mentally sick. In fact, they are in contact with reality. That's why they know how to avoid, again, unfavorable situations. Okay, so the third misconception is if you are the expert or if you are the evaluator, you cannot be fooled. So this is a misconception because if you are not using norm-based testing or if your database is not valid and reliable, then you can be fooled by the perpetrator or the defendant. And also, as an expert, you can have specialized training in deception detection so that your skills can be enhanced. Okay, so as you can see in the slide, we have Melvin Belli. He is a renowned lawyer. And then in our book, there's a case about a woman who is suffering from a hand injury, and she appears to be incapable of doing crime. And then the attorney here in the picture, Melvin, said that in his 60 years of experience practicing law, that woman has a case in another state, which is in Florida, that she won she got a $500,000 worth of the case. So as you can see, even him, an expert with 60 years of experience, is not free of being fooled by fakers or those people who tend to do malingering. The fourth misconception is the DSM-5 criteria for malingering allow for sound deception analysis. Accordingly, the DSM criteria for malingering is not solid or adequate because it emphasizes only on the exaggerations of symptoms and not on determining if the person is faking good or faking bad. Okay, so the fifth, I think this is the last misconception that I will tackle. Detecting faking is an art and cannot be taught. Based on our reference book, deception analysis is a skill, so it can be learned. Only that you have to find the right trainers for this, because in our context in the Philippines, these trainings are not readily available. And aside from that, workshops and clinical experiences over the years, it can give positive impact or contribution to your clinical judgment. And there are guidelines in page 101 about the dozens of things to do in order to avoid mistakes. One I can mention is to use a multimodal methods, meaning you have to take time in using standardized tests, standardized interviews, observations, review of all records, especially the criminal records as well as the medical records, And aside from that, interview with the significant others, and also using the psychometric test results. So there are many guidelines again in page 101. That is the one guideline that I just mentioned.